You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, I'm Steven Willis from the Locked On Podcast Network, the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, with Bill Flowers, who joins us for Hands Team like he does each and every single week. And Bill, I posted on Twitter a few minutes ago I was about to interview you, and I told everybody that I fully expected 15 minutes if I told you so.
Well, I'll let Caden's wife have that go for it. I mean, listen, I told you so. I'm glad. I'm glad they used 21 personnel. I'm glad they used the tight ends, especially without Harris. Maybe that's what it took for them to do it. Maybe Kiffin likes to listen to me a little bit. Maybe he likes to come on and kind of trail me and say, all right, well, we'll see what Bill says.
In the third quarter of that game, Ole Miss actually did everything that they wanted to do. That was the perfect quarter. Ole Miss had the ball for nearly 8.5 minutes in that quarter.
Yeah.
They had 200 yards of offense. The defense played really well. That was, to this point, the most perfect quarter of the season.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like having Harris when you play Arkansas, if you have him for Georgia, he puts a complete special. But I think with Trey Harris, when you add him to this offense with this particular 21 personnel, I think you're going to be able to add such a great dimension to it. It saddens me that they weren't able to utilize this 21 personnel earlier in the season. You wouldn't have had your losses to the teams that you've had your losses to. They wouldn't have, I guarantee you. But unfortunately, it is what it is. The question is going to be: does Trey Harris and those others that have some injuries? Does Trey Harris's agents do those people tell him, listen, you have a lingering issue. If you guys don't make the playoffs, is it worth it? I have no idea what those mindsets are. I have no idea what those projections are. But I almost feel like you have to take the personnel that you currently have right now and take Trey Harris out of it and say, okay, if he does not continue to play, can you continue to win out and take care of business? And I think that they can.
It's crazy to see what this defense is for Ole Miss this season. And Suntarine Perkins, he is tied for the lead in the SEC in sacks after a monster game against Oklahoma. Ole Miss ended up with 10 sacks in that ball game. And it's just gotten to the point where it's just common sense that these guys need to be the alpha of the room. The decisions need to be slanted towards that defense. And if you can take care of the ball, have time of possession, use the middle of the field, the whole field. When Trey Harris, if and when he comes back, he can add to the situation of what you were doing in the Oklahoma game, not go back to what Ole Miss was doing before. If Ole Miss does all that, I don't know if anybody is going to beat them this season.
No, and they would never have lost a game. They would not have lost a game. And unfortunately, I mean, that's what they did in Penn State. That was the Penn State game plan, and that's why it worked so well. And but it is what it is, and listen, Saban says you can put all the pieces together, but it doesn't matter. You have to be able to. There's a reason why chefs are chefs. They know how to cook, and unfortunately, I think Kiffin is figuring that out a little bit too late, realizing, man, this 21 personnel is exactly what we need. We should have been doing this. Let our defense just go. Let the athleticism that you bought, let it do its work. And I don't think that Ole Miss can play this game, because I do not think that they were as sharp as they could have been, especially in the first half. But if they play like they did in the second half and they get better in this 21 personnel playing against Georgia, obviously they got to beat Arkansas first. I think they can. I think they can run the table and finish out really strong.
Yeah, and it's crazy. My whole thing thinking about this and talking about it over the course of the week is Ole Miss in the first half didn't really commit to the bit. They just didn't. They still did some things that put the defense in a harmful situation, going forward on fourth down, doing things like that.
But you're also coming off a bye, and buys sometimes can be really hard, especially when you're kind of, would you disagree that this was pretty much a paradigm shift from an offensive standpoint? I mean, you went from a spread far out wide to a completely different offense. So it took them a half to kind of get their groove going. So I completely understand that, and I can see that, where it takes some time to click, and that's why I think that they're going to click so much better against Arkansas, and then that much better against Georgia, even without having Harris. If you add Harris in there, they just don't lose.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. When we come back, we are going to move our attention to the Arkansas game, talk about some of Bill's memories against the Hogs from his playing days, all that in just a second. But right now, I do want to let you know about Game Time. Game Time is the place to get your Ole Miss tickets. They have killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Ole Miss tickets. There's not a bad seat in the pavilion or in Vaught Hemingway Stadium, but you can check out what the view is from that seat before you buy the ticket. They have lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. They take the guesswork out of buying Ole Miss tickets with Game Time. And with this being the most anticipated season in Ole Miss history, I might be able to help you out with tickets as well. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We're going back to Hans team, talking with Bill Flowers. Bill Flowers participated in some of the dumbness that is the Ole Miss-Arkansas series, and nothing happens normal in this series. What are some memories? We're going to get to the 7 overtime game in just a second, but what are some of the memories of the Ole Miss-Arkansas game that you have?
Oh, number one, besides the 7 overtime, is the stand jumping out of the stand in Arkansas with nothing on but a hog nose covering his junk and running around. That was hilarious. That was awesome.
What year was that? Was that 2000?
That was 2002. That
2002?
was at Arkansas. Yes.
Okay. You were on, let's see, I think Ole Miss won the game in 2000 and Ole Miss won the game in 2008 in Fayetteville. So you were a part of a Fayetteville victory.
I think we were, yes. I injured my shoulder that game. I remember the AC joint. Chris and I had like 21 receptions together. It was a cold game. That's kind of all I remember about it. I just remember my AC joint. I remember a guy running out around with his junk covered with a hog nose on it. It was interesting.
Yeah, always something strange happens in this football game. And we talked earlier about the 7 overtime game. What is your memories from that game? Because I think we're 23 years past that at the moment.
Yeah, so I remember catching. This was one of the overtimes. I remember catching I think it was one of the overtimes, or it might not have been. But during the game, I had caught a comeback, and I turned upfield, and I collided with the safety or the corner, and I mean just waylaid each other. And I remember thinking, man, I'm seeing a little blurry. But last thing I'm going to say is anything about concussion. So I finished up the game. It is. We lost. I come back Monday. I was a little sick that Saturday morning. I was thinking, well, maybe this is a little bit of a concussion, but I'm fine Sunday. But then Monday, I gotta go put my helmet on, and I'm like, I'm seeing blurry again, and I take my helmet off, and I look at it, and I broke the bar over my eyes, like just like. Yeah, so I broke the bar where my eyebrows were, and that's what was causing me to see blurry. Yeah, I probably had a concussion. I mean, you break a metal bar, putting your head against somebody else's head. That probably is going to induce a concussion.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. What outside of your playing days, what Arkansas games stand out to you?
Oh gosh, I mean, do we have to? I mean,
we don't have to really do the 4th and 25. We don't have to do that one.
Yeah, that because I already have a buddy who just all he does is he sends me that like probably a couple times a year just to be smart. I would probably say, I mean, Run DMC guys. I mean, those guys were awesome. I mean, Arkansas had.
For me, it's Chris Mitchell and the Hit back in 1990. But I go way back. That was awesome. That was a game in Little Rock.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just think that just wasn't anything. For me, it was more of just watching those guys. They had some great athletes. They had some great talent. I always thought Arkansas has been a hell of a team. They're tough. They're blue collared. They're going to bring it. There's nothing finesse about them. They are your junkyard dog. And I remember, Bua. He was a scrappy safety who just linebacker Ken Bua, and that's always what Arkansas reminds me of. They're just a tough blue collar team that's going to bring it to you, and that if you're not ready and completely focused and strapped on and ready to go, you'll lose.
Yeah, the one really cool thing about Arkansas, like I said, to me, they're like a 3rd or a 4th rival for Ole Miss. I'm glad that Ole Miss is going to continue to play them every year when the SEC goes to 9 games. But they're the team that was the West Edge. They were the Southwest Conference roots. The band was a little bit different. Their traditions were a little bit different. They weren't like every other SEC team. And that was kind of cool. Now we have A&M and Texas and Oklahoma. That's completely out the window. But Arkansas still has that little bit of differentness, and Ole Miss played them. I think they played them every year since '81 or something like that. It was kind of cool. There's not hatred necessarily, but I mean, it's intense. It's fun. It's dumb.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if it's a close game, it makes everybody sick to their stomach because unfortunately, Ole Miss does not have a very good track record with close games with Arkansas.
Yeah, especially not in Fayetteville.
No.
So anyway, thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Do want to thank Bill Flowers for coming on the show today. Bill, what do you got going on this weekend, bud?
This weekend, obviously going to be doing some trick-or-treating later in the week. But this weekend might just be resting, watching some football, and relaxing.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Take care and be safe out trick or treat, man.
Hotty toddy. Same to you.
Hotty toddy. Bye.